Let's take a look at the 15 different types of lead generators that you can use in your business so you can grow your list and then build that know, like, and trust factor before you ever try to work with somebody in a paid capacity. Okay, so I'm going to show you the different 15 types of lead generators that there are. And I'm going to tell you which one I think you should make. There's one that I think rules them all. And also I'm going to plot on the next slide here. I'm going to plot a graph based on the desirability and the complexity of each one of these 15 different lead generators. So let's get started. The first one is a checklist. Let's say that you are somebody that you're an agency and you want to help people with their Facebook ads. You might have a get my business Facebook ad ready checklist, right? It's all these things you need to do: build custom audience, set up your business manager, attach your page, attach your ad account, put your pixel installation on your WordPress website, etc., right? You can walk them through everything they would need to know that get them a great result, that gets them ready to be a client of yours in the future, okay? Maybe you could do, if you're in the fitness space, a things you need to do to work out from home checklist, right? An exercise ball, a Bosu ball, comfortable shoes, hardwood flooring. I don't know what it is. That's not my niche, but you get the idea. You can make a checklist of things that people can download, print out, and just check them off as they go down the list. If you are in a travel kind of company, you could have a things to pack before you leave for a trip to Europe checklist, right? And they just print it off and download it, etc. Okay. Next thing is a cheat sheet. A cheat sheet is essentially the cliff notes of something that you know that the world might really think is complicated, but you know how to get it done easily. So maybe you've listened to all of Gary Vaynerchuk's podcasts. You could summarize that in a cheat sheet. Maybe you know everything there is to know about Facebook advertising and you can do a Facebook pixel cheat sheet, just kind of a summary. There's all these things you could know. Here's what really matters. Maybe you've read every one of Malcolm Gladwell's books and you could summarize that, if that's your target market, with the Malcolm Gladwell cheat sheet. It's just the basics of what he knows and teaches as it relates to your specific industry. Maybe you could do all of the top 5 fad diets of the 2000s cheat sheet, right? And just talk about keto and Atkins and all that other stuff, right? Okay. Next thing is an assessment. I really like the assessment. I have one in my business. I have a membership program called the FAM, which stands for Funnels and Ads Mastery. And the 5 areas that I help people assess are: how well do they know their target market? How well do they make them offers? How well do they package those offers via funnels? And then how well do they send traffic to those funnels? And lastly, how well do they nurture people who weren't ready to buy yet? And so you can make an assessment that says, what type of marketer are you? And they just fill out your assessment and they rate themselves basically on those 5 factors for that in that example. Does that make sense? The next one that you can do is a script. So my favorite example for this is, let's say you teach sales training. You could give your sales training script, like what to say. Talkie Moore did this brilliantly with his triage call. It's exactly what to say on a triage call so you can assess if they're ready to work with you or take the next step. Okay. Next one's a webinar. Everybody knows what a webinar is. I think it's a video training. People have to opt in and then they have to be available live. Let's say you're doing a webinar on Thursday at 6 p.m. People have to opt in and then get the reminders to be able to consume that webinar content. But that is a thing that I've seen people use for lead generation. And that's definitely an option. So we all know what webinars are. Next one is a template. So if you have a template, I'll just say the perfect funnel template or the perfect ads template. A friend of mine, Nicholas Kusmich, put together the perfect ads template, and it's exactly what to do in a Facebook ad. That's the exact template that he uses every time he writes a Facebook ad, and it's really a brilliant, valuable piece of content. So if you have something that people will need over and over again, a proposal template, a landing page template, I'm just thinking of online marketing niches, but whatever your niche is, those templates can be really useful. The next one is a quiz. So a quiz is like an assessment, except the ones that come to mind are more like, which Game of Thrones character are you, or which Saved by the Bell character are you, or something like that. Those are silly examples. But if you have a specific quiz where you want to test their knowledge, an assessment is where am I, and a quiz is more testing their knowledge. So I could say, take this quiz to find out if your business is ready to be advertised on Facebook. And the question 1 might be, I have a business manager set up, yes or no. I have an ad account that's a professional ad account, not a personal ad account, yes or no. I have a credit card attached to my ad account, yes or no. And you kind of quiz them, and at the end of that, you could say, hey, you're not ready yet. Your business is not ready yet to, this one is more graded on a sliding scale, right? So a quiz is like an assessment, but more in that vein of, am I ready for something, yes or no, or what, compared to an assessment, which is, what area do I need more work on? A recipe is also kind of like a script, but if you have a food business, you could literally give away recipes. If you have an advertising business or a Facebook ads business like I do, then you could give them the recipe for success. And that's in effect what my book is. And when I think of recipe, I think of a step-by-step approach. So step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. Step 4, do this. It's a step-by-step recipe that you walk somebody through to get that amazing result. ClickFunnels did this in kind of a cheeky way. They have the ClickFunnels cookbook, and they literally said, an ingredient would be a headline, and an ingredient would be a bullet point list or whatever, right? And so you add those different recipes depending on the recipe you're trying to make. And it was kind of a funny tongue-in-cheek way of talking about recipes and cookbooks and things like that. Next up is a challenge. So I've done 5-day challenges in the past. My favorite one that I've done is called the 100 Leads Challenge. And it's a 5-day challenge to get people ready to generate leads, just like this. I love talking about lead generation, and challenges walk them through that. So challenges are typically 3 to 5 days of bite-sized content to get people a little bit of a result, this tasty morsel of what it's like to work with you and the benefit that you provide via a typically done live, a live challenge. So day 1, we're all together on day 1. Day 2, we're all together on day 2, etc. Next one's a video series. Video series is kind of like a challenge. Think Jeff Walker, product launch formula kind of vibe. I know Stu McLaren does this, and Ryan Levesque does this, and I think Amy Porterfield does this, where you opt in for a video series. And then the way these people do it, they will have a video, kind of like a challenge. It's almost like an online workshop via video. What I've typically seen done when it's done well is they're 20 to 30 minute videos, typically highly produced. But the video series, online video workshop is an interesting thing if you're really good at video. Next thing is a virtual summit. I've done one of these in the past. Mine was called the Failed Funnel Summit, and I brought together 15 entrepreneurs to talk about their biggest funnel failures, what they thought would happen, what actually happened, and what they would do differently. So people would opt in for the summit, and then it would go live on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 with the top takeaways from these people on the summit. Now, I've seen summits done in the past. They have 100 speakers or 50 speakers or 30 speakers, and those are options as well. They're kind of complex to pull off, but sometimes they work out really great and from a lead gen perspective. Next one is a contest. So you could have people opt in for a contest. What I would caution you on is if you do a contest for iPads, you're going to get people who want to try to win an iPad. If you want people that are interested in marketing, I wouldn't give away an iPad. I'd give away, your top 5 books that you've ever read about marketing. Or I'd give away top 5 books about marketing and a ticket to my marketing event called 1 Hour Funnel Live or whatever, or like a copy of my book as well. Something like that that's aligned, that will attract the people that you seek to serve. Okay, not just random cool stuff of gadgets and widgets and things like that. Next one is a MiniCourse. Now, a MiniCourse is kind of like a 5-day challenge, but how I've seen this done and how I've done it with myself and my private clients is they go through it on their own. Typically kind of evergreen. You could say, I want to do one where it's around how to get my business ready for Facebook advertising. I just keep thinking about that. People ask me so often, what steps do I need to take to get my business ready? And so I'm going to package that in kind of a mini course where they can get a simple tidbit of information every day, and they can go self-pace is how I'm going to do it. But that's what a mini course is. Something that aligned with your actual content or your core content or your core course offering or whatever your core business is. But the mini course gets them the first step. It's that first domino that pushes them towards your actual content. Second to last one is an ebook. I've got an ebook. I've gotten thousands of leads with an ebook in the past, and we all know what an ebook is. Typically, 30 to 70 pages of a white paper / ebook. Mine is also print on demand, so people can download my PDF version of my ebook. They can also buy my ebook on Amazon or from my website as well. So then that way it's a physical book, not an ebook, but you can give away an ebook as well for lead generation. And then the last one is auto webinar. An auto webinar is like a live webinar, but it's automated. So they can watch it on demand. It's simulated live. You can run it 3 or 4 times a day using something like EverWebinar. You can watch yesterday's replay immediately. I'm doing air quotes the whole time in this video because it's simulated live. It's not actually live. So that's the last option when it comes to lead gen. Now remember, lead generation, all of these things, you can do any of these 15. And I'm going to show you here in the next slide which one I recommend you start with and then kind of plot them on a map. But you can do any of these to move people from point A to point B in the transformation you provide. Okay, so if you're trying to get them to lose 100 pounds of weight loss, that's the easiest kind of transformation I can think of. What they need to do to get from point A to point B, and it might be they need to drink more water. It might be they need to stretch in the morning when they wake up, right? That's just point A to point B. They didn't lose any weight, but they have at least bought a scale. Like that was point A to point B or whatever the case is, right? So think about that for your business. That's how you really win with lead generation, no matter which one of those 15 that you choose. So something to think about before you decide what you're going to make next in your business is, number one, what do you like to make? Are you great on video? Do you have lots of famous friends that might do a virtual summit? Do a virtual summit. Do you love to write? Then you should make an ebook. Do you love to summarize things really simply? Then you should do checklists and courses and challenges. Do you love to teach? Then maybe do, again, a course or a webinar, auto webinar, a video series, something like that. So just think about what that is in your business and what you really like to make. The second thing, I see this all the time. is what I call unconscious competence. There's a thing in your life that you think is so easy that the world finds impossible. For me, that might be Facebook pixels. In my head, I think everybody knows how to do Facebook pixels, but that's not true. A lot of businesses still struggle. They don't have it downloaded. They don't have it on their website or their funnels. They don't have any kind of custom conversion set up. And so that's something I should make content around for a lead generation perspective for my business. Okay, so think about what you get asked about a lot, what you find super simple that the rest of the world finds super complicated. A friend of mine is a nurse, and for her it might be administering an IV. She might think, well, everybody knows that. Like, no, they don't. Only nurses know that. That's not a thing that we all go around doing. Now, I don't know that that'd be a very good lead generator. The find a vein checklist or something like that, right? I'm just kidding. Next one is all of these items, as you'll see on the next slide, is they vary based on complexity and desirability. So we don't want to make things that are super hard that nobody wants. Okay. And then the last thing to think about is with great risk comes great reward. That is a tongue twister. With great risk comes great reward. What I mean is if you decide to do a virtual summit with 30 speakers and do all of the hour-long interviews and the downloads and the affiliate links, it's very, very complicated. But I've known people that have built huge businesses off of running very complex summits. They get thousands, in some cases, tens of thousands of opt-ins, and it's all worth it for them to do it once a year. It about kills them every time they do it, but they keep going. So here's what I really wanted to get to, and it's the lead gen matrix. And I took some of the guesswork out and I plotted this on the map. So the x-axis across the bottom, left-hand side is low desirability, right-hand side is high desirability, and then the easy to make, the y-axis there at the bottom is hard to make, and at the top is easy to make. So we want ideally not things in the bottom left quadrant, we want things in the top right quadrant as I see it, as I've generated hundreds of thousands of leads over the last couple of years. So typically a contest, it's super, it's not that hard to make. It depends if you have to collect some things, if you have to buy some products and then ship some products out and manage the contest and manage the affiliate links and all those things. I think they're not super desirable from people. People don't really want to, your best customers aren't just dying to join a contest. It's a very low desirable thing and you won't get the best quality leads. Ebooks are also not super great. They're not that hard to write if you think about it. When I wrote my book, I hired somebody on Upwork or Fiverr and paid them a couple $100 to format basically a Google document into a book, and they added some design. So it was not that hard to make, quite frankly. It took me a few hours to type out, and then I had an ebook. But people don't necessarily want ebooks. A lot of us have downloaded ebooks. And you may be thinking now, I have a folder on my desktop called ebooks I've downloaded, and I should probably rename that ebooks I've downloaded and haven't read yet and probably will never read. It's just not, people just don't really want ebooks necessarily. Other one is summits. So I don't love summits for a couple reasons. Number one, they're complex to make. You have to get all the speakers together. You have to film the videos, upload the videos, manage when they get released, etc. And then people don't love them, especially when they're done traditionally, where there's 30 to 50 to 100 hours of content. It's impossible to finish. Now remember, we want people to engage with our lead generation ideas, consume them, do them, get a great result, think warm, fuzzy, nice things about it, and then attribute that warm, fuzzy back to us. And so if they opt in for your summit and there's 500 videos, they're just never going to finish it, and they're not going to get any progress made, and they're not going to relate that back to you. Next one is a challenge. Similarly, a challenge, I just don't love that sometimes it's asymmetrical. Like they can opt in and be all excited for it and have to wait an amount of time to consume the challenge. Then the challenge goes away. So that's where I put a challenge. Video series, same thing. Low desirability, not as easy to make, a little bit easier to make than summits in my opinion, but you have to get the videos done, shot, produced, written, scripted, have a story arc that ties the videos together. It's not just 3 random videos. It needs to be 3 really good videos, and not as easy to make. Quizzes, I think people like to take quizzes. They're not that hard to make. You can use something like, I use Typeform for quizzes and assessments, which is the next thing. A little bit lower desirability because people don't necessarily want to be introspective and see where they're at. And then MiniCourses, slightly higher desirability because people start to get a result and there's some transformation in there. Cheat sheets are, I think they're great. They're super easy to make and people really like to consume them. Webinar times 2, I just mean live webinars and auto webinars. The desirability I think is kind of low, and then but they're not that hard to make if you have a good template for it. I knock out webinars pretty quickly. Templates, scripts, recipes, and then the ultimate is checklist. That's the ultimate. Those are my top 4 things that you can ideally make in your business: a script, a template, a checklist, or a recipe. For me, I could do a thank you page video script. I could do a Facebook ad template. I could be a pixel installation checklist. I don't know what a recipe would be for my business, but those things are great. They're little pieces of information, typically 1 to 3 pages of a PDF that people can download, print off, use, and then get a great result with them before you would ever before you'd ever ask them to become a customer. So if you're not sure where to start and go, these all sound great, I don't know which one, where are you going with this, what's the punchline? And the punchline is I think that you should make a checklist. Okay, so that's my take on the 15 different types of lead generators you can use in your business. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.